this conversation needs to hit home. Your husband, your sons, and your son-in-laws. Those are the people who God brings to you as more children. And you want them to be sexually strong as well. So I thought I would introduce you to one of my favorite people in the world, and that is Chase Cocking, who happens to be my son-in-law, who's married my precious daughter, and he is my son. And when he asked me if he could marry my daughter, bless his heart, who wants to marry Dr. Weiss's daughter, right? So I walked into my library, and I pulled this book, this book, this book, and this book off my shelf. And I said, if you read these, you can marry my daughter. And one of those books was Sex, Men, and God, because I want every man in my family to be sexually strong and powerful and informed and intelligent. So I want you to meet Mr. Chase.
Hey.
It's good to see you, Chase.
Yeah.
Glad to see you here. Now, when I gave you the book Sex, Men, and God, what did you think about that?
Well, like you said, you handed me the stack of books there, and it was a lot, but as soon as I started getting into it, it opened my eyes because I started to realize that there was a whole dimension of myself that I didn't even correctly understand because nobody shared it with me.
Well, you went to college though. I mean, didn't they teach you something there?
I went to college, got my 4-year degree, and I went to public school. And they talked a little bit about sexuality in both of those places. They didn't do it in a way that honored God, right? They did it in a way that was informed by culture, which I think is really dangerous these days, the way things are going. And I didn't get the information that was true.
How did it help you as far as, I talked about sex in the brain, because I find a lot of young guys go, well, that's fascinating, because they've heard the stuff in church, like, just don't until you get married, but they don't understand why. When I talked about the sex in the brain piece, how did that impact you?
It impacted me because my 4-year was in a very technical field. And the guys that I would go to college with, they'd be talking about pornography or sex outside of marriage or something like that. And really the only defense that anybody had for it was, well, God says no. Right? And so if you don't believe in God and you don't honor his law, then what's the incentive not to do it? But what Sex, Men, and God really opened my eyes to is, no, God created us for a specific purpose. And you can see that in how the brain responds to sexual imagery and fantasy. And you talk about the section of the sexual glue, the chemical that vasopressin, I believe, that ties men to the images that they're looking at in ejaculation. And so there's a neurological component to why you should stay pure and clean. And nobody talks about that.
Right.
Nobody talks about that.
And that's why I think it's important that moms get this book for their sons, dad go cover this book with their sons, and people that they care about in their church too. Now, I mean, you were in a preparatory stage for marriage, right? And so we talked about, all kinds of things in Sex, Men, and God. We talk about dating. We talk about a sexual agreement. Like, how were some of those ideas, were they new to you?
They were absolutely new to me. And what I really recognized was that my idea of dating was also informed by culture, right? That's something that, well, if you saw someone you liked, you didn't really get to know them too much. You liked them, and so you started a relationship with them. Well, I like that they talk about the idea of dating in Sex, Men, and God, and it's about understanding the person that you're going to be with, right? And the dating agreement as a relationship, it's showing that you don't just marry that person and, oh, I won the trophy, right? It's time to relax.
Right.
No, you marry the person and you continue to date them through life. You continue to get to know them, because even when you've married someone, there's still a beautiful person that you chose, and there's more to them to discover.
So you're still dating Hadassah, right?
I do my best to still date Hadassah, absolutely.
Good. All right, and so, and then we also talked about, something you probably practiced for some time in the marriage, and that is the 3 dailies, the 2 feelings, 2 praises, and prayer. When you were doing that with Hadassah, how was that helpful?
I think it was helpful because you talked about...
you're an engineer background.
Yeah, I mean, exactly.
It's not exactly like they say, and here's your feelings, Chase, and how do you feel about this problem we're giving you on this test that takes 3 hours to take?
Yeah.
Like, engineers don't care about feelings. I mean, generally speaking, that's not the highest priority for their education.
Definitely not.
So the dailies how was that different for you?
It was outside of my wheelhouse for sure. And I started to realize, because part of the dailies exercise is going through that feelings list, and kind of picking the feeling and then doing the daily based off of it, I started to realize that I didn't even really truly understand what was going on within me.
Right.
I, with my personal therapist, started to talk a little bit more about that on that journey. And I learned that there was not only the sexual component of myself that I was learning in Sex, Men, and God, but there's also this emotional component to me, which, I also don't think gets talked about in school. We know anger, what's the saying is, men know hungry, sad, glad, and angry, right? And those are all the feelings that we have. But that's not quite it. There's more resolution to that data.
Now, you've been married for a while. How has that helped you? Like, what are some of the side effects of you being able to do your feelings?
Yep.
Like, I mean, what has the side effects been in your relationship?
I would say specifically better communication, where whenever we come across a situation that is we're kind of butting heads on, I'm able to express more clearly what it is that's actually going on. And what I find is that when I have that opportunity to dig deeper in myself and better understand what's going on within me, I learn that maybe there's something that doesn't need to be a big deal because I've got some faulty or irrational beliefs. So one, communication in the marriage has improved. And two, a better understanding of myself has kind of allowed me to pick and choose what is actually important to me.
And so just take a minute. I want you to encourage the moms and dads to get this for them, for their sons. Go ahead, just look in the camera and say how this helped you.
Yeah, I would say that even if you're a Christian family, my family was Christian, and the information that I learned in Sex, Men, and God, it's not talked about in the church. It's not talked about in the family. It's glanced upon, but it's not dove into. And the real blessing that you have in Sex, Men, and God is He's going to dive into what it means to be a man and the sexuality piece that every person has and what that actually does and how Satan's attacking it.
Well, you heard it from my son-in-law, Chase. You need to get this book for every man that you love. Well, thank you for watching Healing Time. The biggest healing time you will ever have is if you ask Jesus into your heart. Ask Him to be your Lord. So right now, I want you to pray with me if you've never done that. Lord Jesus, forgive me. I want a relationship with you. I want to walk with you. If you will say that prayer right now, Jesus, forgive me. I want you to come into my heart and walk with you. He will do that. And then find a local church. I want to thank those who partner with us financially. And if you haven't, please do. I personally don't take one dime. The money you give goes to getting the production done, getting it on the air, and helping people do their ministry. We need a church that rises up and does the ministry of healing the church of Jesus Christ. We want them to come back for that bride that's healthy, pure, and clean, like it talks about in Scripture, and you are helping that get done when you help us. So please, go to the website, click the button, and thank you very much. Well, I hope you really enjoyed our conversation. I know this isn't your normal Christian television conversation. It needs to be. We need, as the Church of Jesus Christ, to reclaim sexuality in the church and in the society. We are the men of God. We are the women of God. We are the ones who were told to occupy. Okay, we have lost authority in the area of sexuality, okay, because a lot of men are struggling in sexual issues. A lot of women now are struggling in sexual issues. The internet has invaded our churches more than ever before. We are being pummeled by sexual sin. And this is an antidote. And you don't have to have a big problem to start a Sex, Men, and God group. You just need to love men enough to say, hey, we all have sexuality, just like we all have finances, and I'm great. You want to have a financial class, teach people how to get out of debt? Do that. But why don't you teach them how to be sexually healthy? Because that's where they're going to lose more money in a divorce because of that than probably what the mistakes they're making financially. This is our hour. This is the finest hour of the church. I believe that we're ready for the greatest revival Jesus Christ has ever sent upon the world before He comes back. And you're part of that. But to hold revival, we have to be sexually pure. And this is what I am commissioned to do. And I'm commissioning you. If you're a man, you are anointed to do this. All you have to do is be able to read. All you need to be able to do is talk about it. Buy a box of books. We have churches who buy boxes of Sex, Men, and God. They hand them out to all of their men, say, men, we want you to read this, and we're going to get together on Saturday, 2 weeks from now, and we're going to discuss this stuff because I want you, as my men, to be the mighty men, like David's mighty men. And mighty men are sexually pure. So please start a group. I hope you were encouraged by this. Ladies, please share this on your social media. We need every woman's man to be sexually strong.
For more content and resources to help in your healing journey with Christ, make sure to follow Dr. Doug Weiss on Facebook and Instagram. If you'd like to share full episodes of this show with friends and family, subscribe to Healing Time Ministries on YouTube, and feel free to leave us a comment on any of Dr. Doug's social media platforms. Our team would love to hear your feedback and learn how Healing Time is impacting your life, your church, and your ministry.